In this video, I'm going to show you how to style this photo, how to set up the lighting, how to set up your settings and focal length, as well as what angle to shoot from. And in the end, I'm going to show you how I edit this photo very easily in Lightroom. Let's start off with the backdrops that I'm using. I'm using two V-flat backdrops, and they're kind of giving those kitchen vibes. I have a little jar of milk, which a little tip here, I filled up half of it with water and half of it with milk, so I didn't waste the entire milk carton. I have some blueberries in the background, and I will be using this to pour the syrup on the pancakes. Lastly, I am using this prop cloth, also from V-Flats, and I like these especially because they're not those thick kitchen towels. I feel like those can be a little distracting. These are more delicate, and you're just able to style it so much better and more freely. So I cut up a few strawberries to little pieces, and then we're gonna have some blueberries here as well. And what I'm gonna do is I'm going to place a few strawberry pieces in between each pancake to elevate each pancake. That way they don't all look like they're just kind of smushed together. All right, so for lighting, I am using a strobe light. It's the Godox MS300, and I am using an octagon softbox, and it's a large one because I want the light to be diffused throughout the entire scene. So I do want a large softbox because I do have a bit of a bigger scene. And the angle in which you position your light as well matters. This will create the mood that you're going for. So I do kind of want this to be more of a photo in a kitchen where the pancakes are sort of by an open window maybe, or a window with dim light coming through, something like that. All right, so now we're going to position the camera at the right angle that we're looking for. Now, because I am using a strobe light, a little trick that I like to do is I do have a continuous light on so that I can see what's going on in the scene. With a strobe light, you can't really see what's going on in the scene. It's pretty much pitch black. This is why it's a little bit more of an advanced technique. So I do use a continuous light just for the purpose of trying to see what the heck is going on in the scene. All right, so right now I am going to switch my focus to autofocus. I'm going to make sure that I'm focused in the pancakes. And then I'm going to switch back to manual focus. Okay, and the reason why I did that is because whenever I shoot the photo, I am going to bring my aperture up to 13, very high, which means I will no longer be able to see what's going on here because I am using a strobe light. My shutter speed is at 1/160, my ISO is at 100, and I do want a higher aperture because I do want everything to be very much in focus, especially the pancakes, and capture those details in the pancakes, the fruit. And with a strobe light, it's a lot easier to play around with your aperture. I'm gonna take a photo here, over here. So now we're gonna see what's going on over here. And now I can kind of see the angle is a little bit off. I do want the milk to be more towards the left side. I want a little bit more dimension, so I might go higher with my angle. But everything is in focus and sharp, so that's good. So we're gonna make some adjustments. So I'm gonna bring my aperture back down so that I can see what's going on. And by the way, the other lights that are on, the strobe light pretty much cancels all of them out. So it doesn't matter whether they're on or not, because it's very powerful. Okay, so my angle is a little bit off. There we go. And then I'm gonna move this to the left a little bit. And my focal length is going to be 50 millimeters. So I'm gonna back up a little bit so that I can have a little bit more room, or a little bit less than 50 millimeter. And if I switch my focal length, I do have to adjust my focus again. So I always kind of go back to autofocus and then lock my focus and then go back to manual focus. Okay. Oops. Make sure my trigger's on. And I do like to cover my eyes because, oh, that is way too bright because my aperture is still at 2.0. Let's try this. One more thing I do see is that there is quite a bit of shadow on the right side, which is okay if that's the look that you're going for. But for this particular photo, I am going to use a foam board. So I'm going to position the foam board here. And again, you don't have to, it's still fine to have those shadows because it is very realistic lighting. But this is going to just bounce that light. Let's see what that looks like. All right, so that is better. Now, with that said, as you saw on my original photo, I did use my hand to pour the syrup, and I will be showing you how I did that. Okay, so then I'm gonna put my camera on a timer of 10 seconds, allowing me to give me some time. And then I have this little, this little stand, and I went like this, and I just poured. I always cover my eyes because the strobe really kills me. I'm not gonna do it right now because I'm not gonna, I have more videos to shoot with these pancakes, but I did pour the syrup onto the pancakes, and this is how I got this shot. But yeah, so let me show you how I simply edited this in Lightroom. All right, so to edit this photo in Lightroom is going to be very simple. First, I'm going to adjust my white balance, and one way to do that is under the color box, you can pick the color mixer, or I'm sorry, the color picker, and then select the whitest area in your photo. And that, a lot of the times, will kind of auto-correct that white balance. So this is before, and that's after. Okay, so you can also do it manually, but that's just how I like to do it. Then under the light box, I'm going to increase exposure. Not too much to where I start losing my details. To bring those details back, you can also bring the highlights down. Bring the whites down a little bit. I'm going to lift my shadows. And I'm going to bring the blacks down a little bit. Some people ask me if I use a histogram. I don't always use a histogram just because it doesn't really always do what I want it to. So I go by what I like, just making sure that I don't under or overexpose the photo. So let's see, I'm gonna lift the shadows up a little bit more. Okay, so if you want the photo warmer or cooler, you can just adjust your temperature here. So I might want it a little bit warmer, just a tad bit. So this is before, this is after. You can adjust your colors here as well. I'm just going to increase my vibrance a little bit, bringing some color out. You can play around with the reds, bringing some saturation up. I don't want to touch those colors too much. I think they're naturally looking and they look fine to me. And that's about it. Now, here is something that I made this mistake and I shouldn't have. I was putting on a, you can see this little paper towel here. And that's usually when you don't have like fruit. I was placing the paper towel in between the pancakes, and that also elevates your products, or I'm sorry, your pancakes, to give them some volume if you do not have fruit. But I actually forgot to take that off. So I'm actually gonna take that off in Photoshop. So you can stop here and save this photo, and that's perfectly fine if you don't have this problem. But here's a little bonus tip, I guess. Learn how to quickly remove something in Photoshop. Here's how I would do it. But again, you can stop here and save this photo and off you go. But I'm gonna go ahead and fix this real quick. All right, so in Photoshop, you can select the lasso tool. And if you have the updated version of Photoshop, you should have generative fill. So I'm gonna zoom in here. And with this lasso tool, I'm just gonna select that area and click on generative fill. And usually this AI tool is pretty good at reading the rest of the photo to fix it. And that's just a fast way to do it. So I'm gonna go ahead and remove these two, and then I'm gonna save the photo, and that'll be it.